everybody? This is Untold Sports Stories with Gerardo Byrne. I have with me a special guest, Raven McCree. She is an Earlham soccer player, actually a senior here at the school, and she also does track, so a dual sport athlete. We're going to get to know her story. For those of you tuning in, if you like what you see throughout the interview, please subscribe and hit the like button as we get to the interview. Welcome, Raven. How you doing?
Hi, Gerard.
Okay, so we're going to start. You're from Beaver Creek, Dayton, Ohio, right?
Yeah, I'm from Beaver Creek. It's about 10 minutes from downtown Dayton.
10 minutes from downtown Dayton. So first thing we're going to ask you is, how is Dayton doing after a rough summer?
You know, we're recovering. The community's still really rallying together. For those who don't know, we started out the summer with 5 tornadoes all in the same night. Then about halfway through, we had a lot of rallies and stuff, and then towards the end we had a mass shooting. So right now it's all about just keeping a community strong, especially when a lot of the areas that got hit are very they just don't have a lot of finances in that area. So we're trying to figure out a way for people to find help, because right now there's still a lot of people still in hotels.
Okay.
Yeah.
You came from Beaver Creek, but one thing that me and you have familiar, or that we share in common, is we're both from military backgrounds. I think people get surprised at me when I say I'm from Cali. They think born and raised, but no, I've been all over the country. But so have you. You know, we'll talk about your experience growing up in a military family.
Yeah. So my whole entire family is military. My aunts, my grandparents, my uncles. My parents both met in the Air Force, so it's kind of second nature to me. I've moved all around. I've lived in New Mexico, Florida, Alabama for a little bit, Georgia for a little bit, but I've mostly lived in Ohio for the majority of my life.
All right. As I mentioned, you are a dual sport athlete here at Earlham. Did you play a lot of sports growing up as a child?
So really, I've only done soccer, track, which is what I do now, and then I dabbled in basketball, but as you know, Gerard, I'm 5'2". those basketball days are long gone. So
hey, I've seen some small basketball females that can go to work on some cats.
I wish I did not get blessed.
So talk about playing soccer and track, growing up, because I played in a lot of sports when I was growing up, and now you look in today's age when you got, kids, really focusing on one sport early on in their lives. Talk about how, playing a lot of sports or playing, multiple sports helped you growing up as a child.
Yeah, I think it's important to play different types of sports. Like soccer is very much team oriented, while track is an individual team sport. And I think that these days when you have you're focusing on one sport, you're missing a lot of the aspects of individual team sports or a team sport in total. But I mean, I've played soccer since I was 4 years old, and when it came to other sports, I tried, but I'm very untalented at the majority of other sports.
So talk about, what was it like playing soccer and track? I found when I was growing up, playing basketball, comparing countries to the United States, playing against, a lot of foreign kids, and then coming to play against Americans, was it different playing soccer from Florida to New Mexico, Ohio, and now Indiana?
Yeah, so my club team in high school, we actually traveled all over the country to play. So we got to experience a lot of different types of people. We also competed against some international teams as well, and the competition's definitely way different in the internationally. I wish the USA was there, but we can work until we get there, I guess. But it's a shocker at first, because you're like, what is going on?
Well, I mean, the USA, they starting to catch up after the women's team have taken, was it back-to-back World Cups? I don't remember if it's back-to-back or 3 straight. But, they've established themselves as a powerhouse in, women's soccer. Our men's team, we still got some work to do. But talk about how seeing our women's team, win the World Cup, how that inspires you as a female soccer player.
Yeah, women's soccer, watching this national team, it was very inspirational. Like, it's very hard for a soccer player to watch people play soccer and not want to play it. Every time I watch soccer, I end up going out and getting a ball and going out there messing around right after. But I wish our men's team was better. But maybe next World Cup, maybe next Olympics will make it.
We'll keep our fingers crossed. But one thing, I thought the women's team really showed because there's a lot of discrepancy between men's sports and women's sports.
Yes.
Women's sports catch a lot of flack because a lot of people don't think they're as entertaining. That it's slower, it's more boring, it's more soft than men's sports, and I've never thought that. I have the total much respect. I've gone against some cold females in a lot of different sports. I know this female that I knew back in. She went to Washington State, just graduated. Track star, but she actually played football in high school.
Wow.
Offensive lineman. And so I'm like, that's just a lot. Yeah, she could have kept going as she played football, basketball, track. She's an all-world athlete, and she could have kept going and played varsity football, but her basketball coach really wanted her to focus on basketball and track and stuff like that. But I got a lot of respect, and then I broadcast the soccer games, and I tell you what, it is so different seeing women's soccer game than what you maybe watch on TV. You guys are physical as hell. From what I've been able to experience these last couple of years at Earlham, talk about why you feel like women's sports are just as good as men's sports, entertaining and all that kind of stuff.
I mean, on the funny side, I honestly think it's because when girls get on their period, they start acting crazy, and girls will just fight each other for no reason. I mean, when you get out there, you just kind of like, you will take all your aggression out on like the first person you see. I've had girls tell me, I'll steal your man, like, da-da-da. I'm like, I mean, you don't know me, go ahead. But it's like the women's game, you just get in a mindset where you're like, I'm here to win, I'm here to get my respect, so I'm gonna do what I need to do. And if that means taking you out, then I'm gonna take you out. Like, we have a blood jersey for a reason. You get some blood on your jersey, you get a new one. Keep it moving.
And that's what I've seen. Some of the some girls on your team I've seen, when you meet them on campus, they are very nice, but then when you see them on the field, you're like, who is this person?
Yes.
This is not what we meet, but I understand where it comes from. I mean, when I play sports, hell yeah, as soon as you step on the field or the court, it's another mode. I think just a lot of people don't see that from women, or only expect that they're got to be nice and soft on the field and stuff like that, when in reality it's just you guys have the same mindset as men do.
Yeah, I think that especially like women's soccer is more physical than men's soccer, in my opinion. I think that women will literally just hit each other for no reason. There's no reason at all. You'll feel the pain too, and you just keep on moving. While I feel like in the men's game, they're so focused on the technique and the finesse of playing soccer that they've lost the art of playing soccer. Mm-hmm. So women will get out there, like, it's more entertaining for us to play when you're going head to head brawling with people, like.
Okay, now we're going to transition into a topic we're both very familiar with, and that is concussions.
Yeah.
You've had multiple concussions in your time playing sports. When was the first concussion that you remember getting?
The first concussion I remember getting was my freshman year of high school. Apparently I've had one before then. I don't recall it at all. My mom tells me I had one. I don't really believe her anymore, but no, the first one I had was my freshman year of high school.
Okay, and talk about how, did you get that playing soccer?
Yes.
Did you collide with somebody?
Yeah, I was just, I used to be a goalkeeper, and I was just running out to come clear a ball, and some girl came from behind me and just knocked me in the back of the head, and she walked away with a worse concussion than I did. And I mean, at the end of the day, I still got the ball, so I mean, who really won? But it was definitely, it really wasn't that bad. Like, I had like a mild concussion. I was kind of out for like a week or two, but I mean, it didn't really affect, that one didn't affect me as much, like, long-term wise.
Okay, yeah, because, I mean, what I was going to ask you is, what was your feeling that this was my first concussion? Were you kind of shocked that, going through the process of how serious concussions are, or you're just like, okay, maybe I've had this before, it's just another headache, I'll get over it in a week or two?
No. So I went to a high school where we had like about 5 athletic trainers on staff. I went to a very large high school, and even we had to take the impact test, which you've taken.
Yeah, of course.
I had to take the impact test when I was coming into my freshman year, and so there was already like implications that concussions were serious, but at that point, like that's when research was just starting to come out, because again, this was in 2012, and so that's when research was starting to come out about the long-lasting effects. Because I think like around that time was when, what was that football player's name? Aaron Hernandez.
Yeah, Aaron Hernandez. And I mean, there's been a lot of
Yeah,
cases,
there's been
but,
a lot.
you know, he was the most high profile, and then Junior Seau, because he actually committed suicide as they discovered CTE in his brain.
Yeah, and then I think there was around that time, maybe it was a couple years later, but there's an Ohio State player, and I'm from Ohio, so like it gets around.
I don't remember his name, but I remember the story.
Yeah,
Yes,
and he was like found, like he committed suicide in like a dumpster. It was like something very sad.
I know the story. I don't remember the name, but I definitely remember the story.
Yeah, and I just remember like learning about that years later, and then thinking like, man, like.
Yeah, I mean,
crazy.
Growing up, I never really knew what concussions were. You know, I've heard the name or something like that, but I've never thought about, like, you know, when I hit my head in competition, you know. But growing up, I never had a concussion to where, like, you know, I would say maybe I got one when in sophomore year in high school. I took a baseball to the head.
Ooh.
And
oh no.
Yeah. Maybe I got one then. I don't remember how my head felt. I think I was fine later on at night. That's why I don't think that was a concussion. See, I went to a high school where that kind of stuff wasn't really like brought up. I mean, the only way if people that I knew had concussions was when, you know, they got laid out on the field and they're staying down. And then you come back like, my head hurts, I can't see light. Then that's how our trainers found out if we had concussions. It wasn't like we had testing or any way to find out. You just went by word of mouth. And I mean, you know, a lot of high school and college football players, they're not going to tell trainers, you know, how they're feeling. You know, I remember my senior year multiple times that, you know, as a lineman, you know, every play you're banging heads with the person in front of you. So I remember, you know, third, fourth quarter that I'm still in the game and I'm just like, man, my head is ringing. Like, I got a headache. But I'm just like, you know what? You know, I'll take some Advil after the game. Let's keep it going. And my first, like, truly concussion to where I went to the hospital was 2017 when I was in a basketball game at JUCO. Because I broke my nose a few weeks in practice, and I was wearing one of those masks.
The face visor.
Yeah, the face visor. But at that time, California was going through a wildfire, and our school got shut down for a few weeks. And so my visor was left in the locker room. So I didn't get to go home. When I went home, I didn't get to practice with it. So the next time I came back, we were going straight to a game. And for the first half, I wore the visor, but it was just so uncomfortable that I didn't get a chance to like really work with it. I took it off at halftime, and like 2 minutes in on a rebound, homeboy's forearm just whack right on my nose. Not only did I worsen my nose, I got a concussion and went to the doctor that night. But I was out about a couple weeks or something like that. But
I'm surprised your nose is still straight.
Well, actually, my nose was crooked at one point.
Did you get plastic surgery? Did you get a nose job?
No.
It looks a little
too
straight.
It was like my nose was like crooked to where it was facing this way, so I couldn't breathe out of one of my nose holes. So yes, I got surgery on it.
Oh no.
Yeah, it wasn't plastic surgery to make my like. It was actually surgery to a doctor and stuff like that to make me breathe better, not to make my nose look better. But you had mentioned to me once before that you had a concussion to where you were out nearly an entire semester.
Yeah, so around my sophomore year here, I would have been, what year was that? 2017.
Yes.
I had like compounding concussions. So the deal with compounding concussions is that you get one and you don't realize how serious it is, and then you get micro concussions. So it's like the little things will like set you back. And during that time I kind of learned what a concussion really is, because for the longest time I really thought it was a brain bruise. Like I never understood what it was. And then, I'm a bio major, so I sat down in class and I was talking to one of the professors here who's does neurons and stuff, and he was like, no, a concussion is like your neurons turn on and they don't turn off until something comes in, like till you're healed. And I was like, well, that's dangerous. We're learning about how serious these neurons are, and now we're like sitting here like getting headaches over the littlest of things. Like I would jump a rope and just be out for like a week, and that kind of situation, it was like every single time I'd gotten cleared to come back to play, to just like play 10 minutes. I'm not even talking about going back to starting or playing a full half. It'd be 10 minutes. Somehow the soccer gods were just not on my side, and I would literally go in every single time and get wrecked. And so I just ended up getting these repeat concussions too close together, and it was just terrible. Like I got my first concussion I think like September 1st, and then the last like one October 5th, maybe even earlier, and I was basically sidelined by that till the next season of soccer. It took me till November, December to figure out where I was walking on campus. Like I would leave here because I lived in the U. I'd be walking to CST and I'd just completely forget where I was going. Right around AWC, I'd just be like, well, let me go get some food because I don't remember what else I'm supposed to be doing. And so it was definitely rough. It took a team of neurologists, psychiatrists, athletic trainers, professors. It took a lot of people to help me kind of get back on track, like not just like physically but academically, because like my academics suffered because if I couldn't remember where I was going, I don't know if I can cuss on here, but
you can say a word.
But I sure as hell didn't know. I like couldn't remember the function of like a neuron completely in and out. So like it definitely took a team, and even as a senior, I'm still dealing with stuff. Like my memory will probably never be back to where it was, but I mean, I'll marry rich, I'm just playing, like, don't marry for money.
Okay, so you said you're still suffering effects from it till today?
Yes.
Is that more with memory, or still like you just get headaches every now and then, or?
Jordan, do you remember how long it took me to remember your name?
True. That is true.
No, it's just kind of like when I'm thinking, I'm not a dumb person. And that's what I have to explain to my professor. Like, I'm not dumb. It just takes me a second to get it from my head to my mouth. Like I can understand like these big concepts, but it's the, like, even when I'm talking, I think about what I'm gonna say, just so then, like, I'll just forget like a simple word. Like I'll forget the word like concept, and I'll be like, what is that word? What's that word? But
I got you.
I'm working on it.
So when you play now, I feel like when you play soccer, you wear special headgear. Is that what that is?
I wear a rugby helmet.
A rugby helmet.
Yes.
Do you have like my first year in junior college, we had to wear these headbands that had chips in them, to where if we got hit in our heads, our athletic trainers could see the damage we just took to our heads. That way we couldn't.
That's really cool.
Yeah, that way we couldn't lie and say
really
that,
cool, actually.
So yeah, that way we couldn't lie and say, "Oh yeah, we cool." When they have literally evidence on our on their computers that our heads are spiking. So yeah, we had to wear chips. So do you have something like that in a rugby helmet, or it's just a helmet?
No, it is just a regular soft-shelled helmet. I'm sure Bill knows when I'm gone. Like Bill, like the rule on my team is like, I'm going to do my best not to head the ball. And Bill will literally, if the ball's coming in the air, trainer Bill would be like, no, Raven, no, don't do it. And I'm like laughing so hard because I'm hearing Bill yell that I'll like normally miss the ball. But no, like, so it's just a soft shell helmet. I've decorated it, got the new logo sticker on there.
Got you.
So
with the concussion that, had you out of not just soccer, but school almost an entire semester, and soccer the whole year until next year when you're ready to come back. Were you like worried throughout the process that it was taking so long that these might be some long lasting effects that I'm dealing with at this current moment?
Yeah, I just kind of hit an acceptance like phase where I was just like, you know what, this is it. I'm just never gonna be able to remember anything, or I'm never gonna be able to like jump rope ever again. Like,
Yeah, I
you
got
know,
you.
I thought I wasn't gonna ever play again, and I just kind of accepted it. And my parents were very worried, and a lot of people were very worried about like CTE and my brain. And I think that then I didn't really understand in total what CTE is, and it wasn't until recently I was watching a YouTube video, and it was a documentary of this uh, ex football player who is now making a career like reselling bikes or buying bikes and then giving them out for free.
Okay.
And he was talking about his CTE, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm 50 years old and I have the brain of a 90-year-old." And I was like, "Wait a minute, that's not what I thought CTE meant. Like nobody else ever said that." And like, I didn't understand that it's like an acceleration. Like, you get dementia and you get all these things, and it is very very scary. But I feel like I go get my brain scanned.
Mm-hmm.
I get it scanned probably like once a year, just in case. Like, it is like kind of an expensive process, but I'd rather be able to check up on it and then not get like surprised like 20 years
Are
from now.
you not necessarily afraid, but do you think about possibly having CTE 15, 20 years down the road?
Yeah, I think that I've kind of accepted it, but it makes me very cautious when I meet people, especially people that I want in my life for a long time. Like, whether it be friends, relationships, or anything, because I know that, like, I don't know what the future's going to be. Like, CTE is it's unpredictable. It's there's so much more to be researched about it. And I don't really want to put somebody through that. I don't want my friends to have to worry about me forever, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so if I turn 50 and I have the brain of a 90-year-old, well, then I'm going out like a 90-year-old. I'm just like, I I just don't want to kind of be a burden to people. I want to be able to like always be happy. And I mean, like, sometimes it's like it just changes the way you think about things, because it's like I want a long future. I want a long life, especially my family. People live until 100 in my side of my family, and I mean, hopefully the world's still here. But if it is, hopefully I'll be along for another 80 plus years. But
I feel it.
yeah.
You had brought up, your parents, are worried about CTE and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. Talk about how your parents feel, with you still continuing to, play sports and stuff. Because I could tell you, playing football last year, you were there the night.
Mm-hmm.
I got literally knocked unconscious. In
Yeah,
a
that was
game.
so scary. That I like didn't even know you then. I literally ran up and talked to you as you were walking back to the locker room to make sure you're okay. I had never met you. I met you like 2 days later when you were like in the training room dying.
I met you my visit here. That's when I remember meeting you.
Yes,
there.
and I was definitely concussed.
Yeah,
But no, I do vaguely remember that.
You were the first student I met when I took my trip out here. But yeah, because I, talking to my teammates, everybody thought it was my knee. Because I had knee problems, throughout the whole season. I slightly tore my MCL in camp. I just played through it. But everybody thought it was my knee. And no, like, I was gone. And, when people look back at the film, it wasn't that hit. If you look at the hit, you'll be like, how did that knock you out? No, I had took, multiple hits to the head throughout the game. And it was just that one. It wasn't hard. It was just that one it knocked me out. And yeah, I'm glad I was able to get back up. And, since we're on the topic of parents, my mom is not afraid to say, like, obviously, if I was playing football, she would want me to go out and play football. But she's not, that upset that I'm not playing football right now, with not sustaining any more concussions, because that was the first time I've legit ever been, unconscious in a sport before, and then I don't remember how I was when I got back up. You and my teammates and a couple of my friends who happened to see me know what I was like. But, talk about how your parents, are feeling with you still, continuing playing sports with multiple concussions under your belt?
They are terrified all the time, and they want to see me be in a position where I can play soccer but not get hurt. And I mean, this level of play is very different from where I'm from. Like, I think that people where I'm from, they know how to play where you're not just giving people concussions. And but it's definitely, I remember like my first concussion, the one that I remember, but that one, my parents were like so worried. Like, I remember my dad would like, because that's back when, like, for concussions they thought you were supposed to like keep people awake.
Yeah.
And so my dad would come in every hour and be like, Raven.
Oh no, they still do that.
Yeah.
When I got it in JUCO, because the game was about 4 hours away, so the whole ride back, my teammates they would not let me go to sleep. It wasn't until the last concussion I was in the car with Shay that she was like, "You actually sleeping is good for concussions."
Yes.
But no, when I got one, the whole man ride back, they were making sure that I was not gonna go to sleep, and even my coach was asking me like, I would prefer you would sleep at one of your teammates' house to make sure that you stay awake the whole night. And I was like, nah, I'm good to go. Like, like I'm not staying up the whole night. I'll be fine.
I think it was more of, I had another one in high school, and that one was probably my first like really bad one. And it just sucked. That one sucked because the girl fell on my head, kneed me in the head, in my temple, which is, I think, why my concussion was so bad. And my head swelled up. And I was so mad because prom was the next weekend. And I was like, I broke my finger in the collision. So I had this ugly, like, splint. And I ended up taking the splint off for all the photos and then putting it back on. And
you're telling me that with a concussion, prom is your biggest concern?
So mind you, that year I actually was so all throughout high school I was like I was a student. I was like the class historian or whatever. Okay. And so I had planned prom that entire year. Okay. I started planning it in August. I had like worked so hard. There was already like a lot of stuff leading up to it, so I was just like really excited to go. And then the week before, this happened. I was so mad because it was a game I wasn't even supposed to play in. Like, they just needed someone to come play it. It was 2 minutes from my house. I literally can see the soccer fields from my house. So I was like, oh, fine, I'll go. And I was just so mad. And it was, so I remember after that, my parents weren't even at the game because I lived 2 minutes from it and they didn't really want to watch it. And I called them. I was like, we got to go to the hospital. Like, this is so annoying. And I remember I got to the waiting room. I fell asleep, woke up 3 hours later. I was still in the waiting room. I was like, what is going on? And then I went to the back. They're like, it kind of looks like you're showing symptoms of like a brain bleed. And I was like, wow. What? I was like, first of all, you let me sleep for 3 hours thinking I have a brain bleed? Like, I'm suing everybody. But I remember like that day was just so crazy because I went to the back and then I had to get a head scan, and they're like, well, if your brain's bleeding, it's bleeding. Like, we're going to go scan it. It'll be fine. I was like, I don't know what's going on because I'm really concussed and I'm really confused. And I remember, this is what I like distinctly remember. I went to go get my head scanned, and they come back and they go, so the one guy who reads the scans, it's his day off. So we're going to email it to him and he's going to get back to us. I was like, wow. Dude, there's no urgency. Like, I waited like 2 more hours. Head scan came back perfectly fine. And it was like kind of like one of those moments where I was kind of lucky I hit my temple because they think that like if it would have missed, I would have cracked my skull. But so I was kind of lucky. But then I remember looking down at my hand and I was like, wow, that finger had never bent that way before. And so I remember like arguing with the nurse and being like, my finger's broken. They're like, no, it's not. I was like, yes, it is. Arguing. And they're like, you're literally just concussed. Like, you're overthinking it. My finger was broken. We got the scan, and then it's the same guy who reads the other scan. So I was like, oh, this is awful. Like, I was so mad. But yeah, it ruined my prom experience. Ruined my junior prom a little bit. all my photos are from the other angle. So.
Oh damn. Well,
Yeah.
luckily you still had a senior prom.
Yeah, which was much better.
Yeah, so that made up a little bit.
Yes, and it really didn't help that my parents were chaperones for the after prom. So anytime I wanted to get on a ride or do anything fun, they were like, "No, no," and it was so embarrassing.
Okay. But they're just making sure that you're still fine. A lot of head trauma. They don't want anything to all of a sudden happen to you. You can just pass out or something like that. So I understand that. I mean, what has concussions like? You might be perfectly fine, but has running track ever sprung up something?
Yeah, I actually couldn't run track for like 2 or 3 weeks after soccer season ended in 2017 because like the literal pounding into the ground would hurt my head. And my doctor, he actually told me like, "Oh, don't do track." I was like, "Dude, it's running in a straight line." And he's like, "But what if you fall?" He was like, "The one thing you can't do is hurdles." Do you want to know what I started doing that year? Hurdles. But I was just kind of like,
You're a defiant one, aren't you?
Yeah, I do not like being told what to do. So I just wanted to do it. And I've fallen like twice in hurdles in my like 2 years doing it. It's really easy not to hit your head. I don't know how people be hitting their heads, but yeah, no, like the running. I remember we'd always do a jump rope circuit, and like just the pounding into the ground, I would get so dizzy, and I'd just be like, "I'm going to bed. I'll come back tomorrow and see what happens next." But it was definitely hard. Definitely rough.
Well, one thing I and everybody that knows you will say is hopefully through the remainder of the senior soccer season and track that you don't sustain any more blows to the head, because we would like you to be around a lot longer. We want to remember the days in college of our good times rather than...
Yeah, I'd like to remember it too.
I know you like to remember it. We don't want to share you the stories and you just don't remember you being there. That's going to be no fun. So we hope you don't sustain another concussion. I do. You are a tough, not just woman, but tough person to continue to play sports with the experience you have had. I mean, a lot of people after a few concussions will, just say, what, that's it. But you're choosing to go out on your own terms.
Yeah, I kind of felt like I wasn't done yet. Like after high school, I felt like I wasn't done. After my sophomore year, I felt like I wasn't done. Now that I'm old, Gerard, I'm old. I'm ready. I'm ready for retirement. But, as long as I want to be able to remember things and remember all the experience and people that I've gotten to meet and, like, the people that influence me or have a big impact on my life. I want to be able to look back at our 20-year reunion and be like, Gerard, remember when I... was being the idiot over here,
Yes. And that's one thing I will continue to tell people, is if you got an opportunity to go out on your own terms. See, me, I was forced into an early retirement. Mm-hmm. And one thing, I would tell people, no matter, just enjoy competing, the enjoyment of competing, because you know what, and football being taken out, you never know when that last play is going to be.
Exactly.
And, you want to go out on your own terms. But we're hoping, that you sustain no more concussions throughout soccer season, no more track. Yep, you get to go out your senior year, with a bang, your terms, and then you get to go enjoy early retirement.
Yes.
But, Raven, we appreciate you coming on the show. We enjoyed you talking about your experiences with concussions and how you managed to get through it, and with the support of family and all your friends and stuff like that. People who have concussions a lot of times don't say it because they want to keep playing and stuff like that. I think it is important for people to tell their parents or trainers or doctors about concussions, because we see where it leads to a lot of people who don't maybe get it treated and years down the line and end up hurting themselves.
Yeah, I definitely would say my advice to other people is don't necessarily take the route that I did. I really went to every doctor possible, and I researched, and being a science major, you're crazy about research. Yeah. And so I researched different methods, different stuff about brain recovery, memory recovery. I've seen every type of person you kind of see. And if you get to the point where you really cannot play anymore, it's okay. And sometimes I wish someone would have told me that, but at the same time, I don't think I would have listened.
I feel it. Yeah, I think more people if you can, share your experiences and don't let concussions go untreated. Because later down in life, they may impact you in ways that you're not going to know as a athlete or a kid. But Raven, we appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And
follow me on Instagram.
Shout you out.
Raven M1125. Follow me. That's all the social media I have. So
Yeah, not a social media person. But thank you, Raven, for joining us. This has been Untold Sports Stories with Gerardo Byrne. If you enjoyed this interview, please hit that subscribe and like button, and we will see you all for more videos coming in the future. Have a good day, everybody.